Chapter 847, Don't Be Impulsive. Deep below, Lu Dahai and his cohort confront Zagu in the dead of night. Under Lu Dahai's leadership, they assault the smuggler's den where Zagu sleeps. The smugglers are taken by surprise. Lu Dahai lunges with a makeshift spear, a toothbrush weapon, and guts Zagu through the neck. Zagu dies instantly, eyes wide in disbelief. His brothers flee screaming. The sudden massacre is swift. Lu Dahai, pale with rage and spattered with blood, laughs wildly, sending a clear message. The remaining stowaways, watching from shacks, are stunned. Now the fishermen and their desperate Huashu comrades rush out and butcher the paralyzed stowaways to finish what Lu started. By chapter's end, roughly half the hold's occupants are dead. Lu Dahai's faction has gorged themselves on the smuggler's horde while grabbing life or death justice. This bloody coup effectively ends the stowaway gang threat, but the horror is unimaginable. All aboard, even Zhu Yonk and Sun Wanshi, now realize Zhang Yi's warning. In the lawless post-apocalypse, massacres like this can happen without interference. It marks a grim turning point as Zhu finally sees Zhang Yi's ruthless pragmatism validated by these deaths. Chapter 848, Heartfire. After the slaughter, a grim peace falls on the ship. Lao Tian counts survivors, only about 75 remain, many wounded. The living smuggler fugitives are executed at Zhang Yi's orders, their dead tossed into the sea. The survivors clean up the carnage, working feverishly despite exhaustion. It's the first time their hold feels dry and hot, rather than cold and damp. Zhang Yi relaxes upstairs, reasoning that fewer mouths mean easier management. He notes Lu Dahai's group was always unstable, so letting them self-destruct suits him. In private, he has a satisfied grin over how quickly his people, the fishermen, took decisive action. Above deck, the Yenlu group sees the mass cleanup through cargo hatches. Panic and paranoia ripple. One woman cries, "They're purging us. Next it will be our turn." Bayemo and others remember Zhang Yi's earlier shooting and realize Zhang Yi killed like chickens without a blink. Fears of betrayal surge. They suspect Zhang Yi is optimizing population by orchestrating it from above. This chapter fleshes out the aftermath. Obedient fishing survivors now get enough to eat. Zhu Yonk is traumatized, and Zhang Yi relishes the fear he has instilled, while the remaining refugees upstairs are beside themselves with dread. Chapter 849, Edge of Death. In the lower hold, the small group of survivors realizes the full horror of their situation. Lu Dahai seizes the moment. He berates the crowd for blaming him, explaining the massacres were driven by sheer hunger and stowaway thievery, not Zhang Yi's orders. But now, starving survivors nervously eye the amputated supply of the smugglers. In hushed tones, they debate what to do next. Some are ready to fight, others tremble at risking Zhang Yi's wrath or the seas. Sensing hesitation, Lu Dahai challenges them, "If we want to live, we must make it impossible for them to live." Initially only a few men nod in grim resolve. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi and crew casually note the rebellion. Zhang Yi lounges above, confident. This chapter shifts the group's mindset fully toward revolt. The rescued refuse to remain meek. They have come to the edge of death and vow survival by any means. The actual final slaughter is recapped. Chapter 850, A Bet, Add 1. Dawn breaks. Upstairs, Zhang Yi strolls the deck with Zhou Kur. Unperturbed by the nocturnal carnage, he muses that the fin dragon, sea monster, attacked first and wonders about Zhu Young's pampered daughters on board. He even makes a lewd bet with Zhou Kur on how soon they'll collapse from exhaustion. Beneath Shang's full-rank party, an eerie calm, the Jinfeng sails steadily. Elsewhere, Zhu Yonk and Sun Wanshi, guilt-ridden after the previous scenes, desperately try to comfort Zhang Yi's haggard servant maids. Zhu frets over the starving, lower-cabined people. When Lao Tian reports massive deaths below, Zhang Yi shirks responsibility, cryptically telling Zhu to handle it as the one who brought them on board. Horrified, Zhu nearly faints. She realizes dozens died because of the conflict she indirectly caused. Zhang Yi coldly denies help, framing it as Zhu's problem for smuggling them. By chapter's end, Zhu Yonk is inconsolable, blaming herself, while Zhang and Zhou Kur observe complacently that Zhu must learn human cruelty firsthand. This chapter pivots from action to aftermath. Zhang Yi hands the fallout to Zhu, and her world crumbles. Chapter 851, Outbreak. After being ordered down, Zhu Yonk and Sun Wanshi finally witness the horror. Brave Zhu, urged by Zhang Yi, opens the locked hold door. Inside, scores of bodies, rivers of blood, and horrific carnage everywhere. Survivors, some still alive, half-naked and splattered in gore, shamelessly devour piles of rice and meat unconcerned by the death around them. The lower cabin, once cramped and dark, is macabrely brightened by feasting cannibals who have collapsed psychologically. Shu Yonk wails in agony, overwhelmed by guilt at what she caused. Zhang Yi stands back, watching her break down. He lets her see that the worst idealist has ended up begging forgiveness, as hundreds murdered were her own people. In this cathartic scene, Zhu learns the true savagery of human nature. Even Sun Wanqi, while not fainting, is stunned into shocked silence. Zhang Yi wryly thinks Shu must now learn a lesson about sentimentality. This chapter marks Zhu's psychological nadir. Zhang's experiment in cruelty is complete, and only by facing this bloodbath will Zhu give up her self-righteous naivety. Chapters 852 to 861. Chapter 852, Panic. The slaughter continues unabated for hours. Screams echo as survivors wield any weapon to kill each other, wooden bars, shards, even clothes strangling neighbors. The whole descends into chaos, blurred lines between killer and victim, cannibalism unabashed. The surviving Yanlu passengers upstairs hear the screams as if from hell. Che Haicheng urgently bangs on the hatch, shouting murder. Down there. A patrolling crewman peers into the monitor and nonchalantly observes. Two watchers in control realize it's a large fight among the stowaways. I told you they'd fight sooner or later. And amuse themselves watching the carnage, confident the rebellion will eventually die down. Zhang Yi, meanwhile, casually sips breakfast above, unconcerned. Panic grips the Yanlu group. Li Zongyu comforts Zhang Weiwei that Zhang Yi is not masterminding a mass purge but simply letting the starving fight among themselves. Even so, doubt spreads that this population optimization could target others next. In sum, the murder frenzy terrifies everyone on board except the indifferent crew. Chapter 853, The Secret. In the aftermath, senior Yanlu passengers discuss the horror in Zhang Yi's motives. Li Zongyu and others puzzle over Ma Wenjing's insight. The captain controls the population, sacrificing these desperate people to conserve the ship's food and improve odds for the rest. Ma Wenjing gravely suggests this was planned personnel optimization, letting the stowaways starve or kill each other to spare supplies. Zhang Weiwei fears, do they face extermination next? Li Zongyu reassures her, asserting their usefulness protects them for now. The cabin is tense. Others whisper that if Zhang Yi can kill on an icy freight ship, no one is safe. The lucrative idea of all Huashu values is at play. Li Zongyu himself goes to confront Zhang Yi upstairs to demand answers, worried Zhang Yi might be cold-blooded. Zhang Yi calmly confirms that the dead fought each other over food shortage. He assures Li Zongyu he had no hand in killing them and promises safe return home, but reminds Li they must cooperate fully. The chapter reveals the core secret. Zhang Yi is indeed a pragmatic brutalist, not a random murderer, but willing to use ruthless means to achieve survival goals. Chapter 854, Please ask Miss Zhu to settle the matter. As word spreads, Zhang Yi orders Zhu Yonk to manage the fallout below. Zhu wakes groggy the next morning to Lao Tian's urgent summons. The Hold's murders were all her fault by bringing stowaways on board. Zhu Yonk panickingly refuses to go see the carnage. She had left the resolution to Zhang Yi. Lao Tian insists with stern logic, Zhang Yi will not intervene. Shaken, Zhu begs Zhang Yi to send someone else. At that moment Zhang Yi emerges, dressed for deck duty, and overhears the conflict. He sneers at Zhu. Had she forgotten that she asked to rescue those people? Zhu breaks into tears, arguing she was ill and caring for the children. Zhang Yi cuts her off harshly, calling her excuses boasts without action and telling her bluntly he will handle it. Essentially, I'll clean it up, don't worry. Zhu is incredulous at his coldness. He was captain, how could he not care about dozens of dead? Zhang Yi mockingly tells her she's lost her mind, but agrees to deal with the issue, meaning bury the bodies. Zhang Yi and Zhou Kor then leave Zhu crumpled on the deck, a broken woman facing her mess. This chapter cements Zhu's descent. She is officially blamed for the bloodshed, forced to face the moral cost of her decisions. Chapter 855, You don't want your uncle to know about this, right? Zhang Yi escorts Zhu Yonk and Sun Wanqi into the bloody hold for a first-hand view. Surrounded by heaps of corpses and blood, Zhu collapses sobbing. Zhang Yi gives no comfort, instead he goads her, "Use your eyes to remember this tragedy caused by your saintly pity." He forces her to stand before the gory scene. Zhu Yong finally sees the true horror: bodies everywhere, survivors covered in gore greedily eating rice and stew. Even Sun Wanqi, though not fainting, is speechless. As Zhu breaks down, she recognizes that this nightmare was set in motion by her insistence on rescuing the stowaways. Zhang Yi watches impassively, silently punishing Zhu for her misplaced mercy. Meanwhile, Lao Tian discreetly loads survivors with plates of food now that so few remain. The chapter underscores Zhu's complete humiliation. Zhang Yi's showing the fun served to crush her self-righteousness. Zhu, racked with guilt, can only curse the fate that brought these deaths upon her people. Chapter 856, Good Girlfriend. Back upstairs, Zhang Yi dismisses Zhu Yong from the hold. He will not interfere further. Zhu Yong is left in agonized breakdown, pleading don't kill them when Lao Tian suggests dragging the living survivors back to Tianhai. She's inconsolable at seeing firsthand the cruelty her actions caused. The seasoned survivors watch her cry with contempt. They see Zhu as a spoiled noble who brought ruin by her empty compassion. Even Lao Tian is exasperated by Zhu's sobbing. When she cannot decide what to do with the living survivors, he must once again ask Zhang Yi for instructions. Zhang Yi, overhearing her tears, notes ironically that Zhu is more fragile than expected. Zhou Kor and old Tian exchange jaded smiles. They've seen far worse sacrifices on Yanlu Island. Zhang Yi finally declares that the victims from Huaxu will be transported back as labor, many Africans will be thrown overboard, and leaves Zhu trembling. This chapter shows Zhu utterly broken. Even those indebted to her life clingers rebuke her weakness. Zhang Yi coldly confirms he'll spare only certain nationals. He privately gloats that Zhu has learned her lesson. She will never be so pious again. Chapter 857, Restless People, Ad 1. Lao Tian organizes the survivors on deck. Roughly 75 people are alive. 28 gravely injured. He orders the slightly wounded Huaxu survivors to clean up the hold, bodies thrown to sea, as their labor punishment, and locks away the rest. The survivors are exhausted but relieved to no longer starve. In the middle cabins, the Yanlu group watches the cleanup in horror. Blood drips from below onto decks, sparking panic. Whispers echo, 70 or 80 people died. Will we be next? Imo trembles. As a foreigner he's convinced Zhang Yi will kill him. Xia Yunfan tries to conspire with Eisenman to reach Zhang Yi's kids, bloodline leverage, but Che Haicheng mocks him for suddenly caring about Huaxu blood. As tensions escalate, Eisenman, usually aloof, urges focusing on survival. Despite panic, Che Haicheng forbids anyone from telling Zhang Yi of their distrust, fearing retribution. Late that night, the Yanlu group secretly meets. Che Haicheng and others vow to find a way to signal the distant Columbia Ocean Fleet for rescue. Unbeknownst to them, Zhang Yi anticipates no rebellion. He believes everyone is safe and fed under his rule. The chapter highlights the fragile calm above. Fear has taken root, and the Yanlu crew plans a desperate bid to escape before Zhang Yi can turn on them. Chapter 858, Suspicious. Through Eisenman's sleuthing, the Yanlu survivors piece together Zhang Yi's motive. Eisenman recalls Li Zongyu once bragged about getting special powers from a Yellowstone on Yanlu Island. He theorizes, Zhang Yi's shipowners likely value Li Zongyu's powers more than any refugee. The grim conclusion, apart from Li Zongyu, none of them have any value, they'll be thrown into the sea once useless. This revelation terrifies everyone. They are trapped, thousands of miles from home, at the mercy of Zhang Yi's whims. Despair grips them. Imo freaks out that none of them will escape. Rudolph, the pickpocket, tries to banter, but Che and Xia threaten each other about informing. Eisenman points out a last hope. He can rig the ship's radio if they steal the captain's communicator. Only then might they contact the Columbian Ocean Fleet to save them. Others grumble that distress calls have been ignored before, but Eisenman insists this is different. Zhang Yi's eventual massacre of Huaxu people is sure to interest their navy. Fearful and cornered, they now plot one final gamble: retrieve Zhang Yi's radio and call for help, hoping any chance is better than succumbing. Chapter 859, Question. Li Zongyu, uneasy above deck, seeks out Zhang Yi to demand an explanation of the murders. He approaches respectfully. Zhang Yi gestures that it's nothing and trusts them to stay calm. Li Zongyu says he supports Zhang Yi's overall plans, but wants details so he can reassure his people. Zhang Yi explains that the lower hold residents killed each other over food shortages. Li Zhongyu is relieved when Zhang Yi emphasizes he didn't order any mass killing or purge, only disciplined the uprising by letting it play out. Zhang Yi warns him not to spread rumors or panic. Li Zhongyu then notices a wounded man being carried out. He cries out for help, but the carriers mock him and he's tossed into the icy sea by indifferent workers. Witnessing this cowardly murder reinforces for Li Zhongyu that Zhang Yi's regime spares no life unless it serves a purpose. By chapter's end, Li is convinced Zhang Yi is awful but sincere, at least Zhang Wei isn't actively hunting them. He resolves to follow Zhang Yi's lead, for now, to avoid provoking further disaster. This chapter reconciles the Yanlu group's fears. Zhang Yi's cold logic is now understood, and Li Zhongyu passes the uneasy trust test, giving Zhang Yi a fragile loyalty order on board. Chapter 860, Rockflow Group Self-Rescue Plan. As night falls, the Yanlu survivors secretly assemble in their cabin to finalize an escape plan. Che Haicheng warns them to stay quiet, covering the door gap, as they talk. He urges everyone to use their genius skills together to find a way off the gene phone. Eisenman, lurking quietly, waits to share his idea. Meanwhile, on deck Zhang Yi feels secure. With the lower hold cleaned and resources stabilizing, he believes everyone is content. He even reflects that Lu Dahai is not to be blamed, he let them fight it out. He thinks that the Yanlu survivors, now comfortable, have no cause for rebellion. Below decks, Zhu Yunque remains hysterical or catatonic. Zhang Yi notes that her weakness has been revealed and is pleased at her humiliation. Finally, Zhang Yi concludes they will soon reach Jiangnan safely. As a thunderstorm brews, Che Haicheng summarizes one of their own devil's plans. Eisenman has an idea to steal Zhang Yi's communicator and signal for rescue. The chapter closes with the group preparing to put that plan in motion, a sliver of hope amid Zhang Yi's complacency. The survivors steel themselves. The fight is between them and Zhang Yi now, and they must act or die. Chapter 861, Stealing the Communicator. In the dark of night, Che Haicheng outlines the risky plan. It relies on Kim Ki-mi, Che's wife, a former pop idol and object of desire for several crew. She will seduce the Jinfeng's cook, Xia Changming, a known philanderer, to stall him in his quarters. While the cook is occupied, Rudolph, the nimble thief, will slip in and steal Changming's radio transmitter. At first the group laughs at Che's sacrifice, but he admits he gains nothing but safety from it. The team divides roles. Kim Ki-mi will distract, Rudolph will snatch the device, Eisenman will then rewire it, and others keep watch. Che is confident Kim will outperform since she was once a war goddess. As they finish assigning tasks, a fierce storm hits. Outside, the Jinfeng pitches wildly in the sea. The storm foreshadows coming chaos. Up on deck, even Zhang Yi's pampered niece Zhu Yunque sobs as she clutches the rocking bed to avoid falling, cursing the child's crying. The chapter closes in tension. The Yanlu survivors prepare their one shot at freedom, and Zhang Yi sees a nightmare brewing beyond his control, the storm, a portent for the final clash to come.